Welcome to another episode of Star 42 with Michael.
And this guy,
Jace Benson. Great to
Jace
see you. I think it's
Benson.
been like 3 weeks. Today is December 12th. And it has been, I think, maybe 2 or 3 weeks since we last got together. In fact, I think last time I posted, was it episode 12? So we're on episode 13, right?
You know what? I don't count them. I just know that they happen and they're a gift.
So I agree with you, but I do have to count them because like when I upload it to the podcast repository that I don't think anyone goes to, because mainly I think YouTube is right now the primary source. But like I have to put in the episode because it's like season whatever, episode whatever. I'm always like, God, what is it? 1, 2, 3. But anyway, we may skip this and put 14 for a luck thing, but I think 4 is also a bad luck in China. And since like,
I say we just do it normal numbers, like
just normal. All right, I'm not superstitious. Are you?
Only when it comes to full moons.
Okay, that's good to know.
We can talk about that if you want, though. Later,
I may have to find out more about that. Full moons. Okay. All right. Well, what have you been up to lately?
Well, I've been walking a lot in the snow, man. I live in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Yes,
and
it's all snow.
There was a giant storm that came through and it dropped like 8 inches of heavy, wet snow.
Now, for context, usually in Minneapolis, Minnesota, you only get like 3 or 4 inches in August, right?
I don't know when we get it. We get it whenever Mother Nature decides to give us the gift that is white, cold snow that makes it really quiet outside. I really like being outside in the winter because of how quiet it is, because it's like a sound dampener, right? But I've been walking a lot, right? I've been doing this thing where I walk up, trying to get 10,000 steps a day, and I do it every day now. 3 miles is about what that is for me, which is huge. I've been doing it for the last 3 months, a little bit more.
All right.
And on a fresh snow like that, where there's like 7 or 8 inches and the city plows haven't done the walkways, walking in 7 or 8 inches of snow without the right gear is awful.
Well, you know what? I happen to know of a way to really challenge you with walking. It's not in snow, but roughly in the first part of May, there will be an event.
I am
in
so
Las
ready
Vegas,
for that event.
And you're going to easily triple your steps every day, although there shouldn't be snow. However,
there will be snow.
Hopefully not where we're at.
Not actual snow, ServiceNow.
Well, that's snow, yes. I'm talking about our Knowledge 26 conference. And Jace, you were just telling me, what did you see in terms of content that's already kind of posted or starting to be posted?
So because I like to know who's presenting what and when, I make a thing that crawl the site and pull the data out that I want. So if you go to news.jace.pro/K26, you can see it all there. There's 109 sessions as of this morning. And if you do a search for AI, 86 return. So I don't know if there's 86 AI specific sessions, or they just have like words that include the letters AI. There's some false positives in there, but that's a lot of AI.
So something almost tells me like ServiceNow's trying to become, I don't know, an AI software company.
They did make that whole Big Code initiative. They have their own models, right, on Hugging Face.
Hugging Face models.
Yeah.
And I think the CEO talked about being something like the defining enterprise software company of the 21st century for AI kind of thing.
We all have ambitions. I'm still waiting for the 1 million developers to be a thing, but shoot for the stars.
Hey, if you shoot for the stars and you miss, you still land on the moon, right?
Yeah. Or you fall back into orbit and burn.
Or that too. That's my dogs are now barking. I have 2 little, well, not little, but now they're barking.
I didn't know.
Of course I have dogs. Who doesn't have dogs? Are the greatest.
I didn't have a dog for a long time. I pushed back. I did not want a dog. We have a dog now, but
you know what?
It's only because I didn't want responsibility.
That is true. I don't like that part to it, but my dogs are very wonderful. One's a 70-pound perfect lab. The other one is like the 50-pound kind of rescue who's, got her tongue like sticking out 3 feet from her mouth and is just a goofball. But that being said, one thing, there was this great saying I once heard, and I tell this to my kids as well, where, if you know someone who doesn't like a dog, don't trust that person. But if a dog doesn't like a person, trust the dog. And I'm a firm believer of that kind of philosophy. So I'm glad you have a dog now, because if you didn't like dogs, I would probably judge you.
I do like dogs. I just don't like responsibility.
Okay, that's fine. That's totally fair in terms of.
Because when we were looking at getting the dog, we were traveling a lot.
Yes. Yes, that can be tough if you are traveling a lot and you're not able to,
Or
be
we
home.
wanted to travel more, I should say. And that just makes it harder, right? Because then you have to board it or give it to a friend to hold on to or bring it with you. My wife did that for a road trip and she found all the problems with it because, like, some parks don't want dogs on the parks and, like, whatever. It's a whole thing.
I understand that.
Yeah.
So here we go. I'll share. I love my dogs. I'll share a picture. As my kids would say, my favorite. Sometimes it's okay to have a favorite child, and sometimes it's okay if that favorite child is the dog.
Yeah.
Here we go. This is one of the dogs. This is Goldie. She's the rescue.
Oh my gosh, for those listening and not watching, there is a beautiful white dog with pointed ears and bright pink insides to those ears with dark brown eyes, the tongue hanging off just to the left.
Yes, and then we have a black lab who's like she's actually trained to be like a service animal.
Is the black dog in the back of that one picture
Yeah,
just
yeah,
laying there, just like a slouch? That's my kind of dog.
pretty much. Yeah, she's kind of more of the well, she likes to run around and go crazy and whatever.
Oh, that was
But
just a moment of reprieve then.
yeah, but she's as a lab, so she's an American lab, by the way.
Oh,
So here's the difference. So there's two kind of labs. There's English labs and American labs. The English ones are the ones with really big heads and are kind of stocky, and they were designed to basically be companions and show animals. And then American labs are the workers. So as an American lab, she really wants to go out and like retrieve and like loves swimming. Like when we lived in Orlando, we had a pool. She didn't discover the pool until like a month before we moved, and so she only got a month of good pool swimming time. But needless to say, here it is. This is her.
aw. And for those listening, this dog doesn't have very pointed ears. Her ears are just laying straight down. She's laying on a bed with one paw behind her right ear, looking at the camera like, who's taking this of me? What are you doing? Is that my
Yes.
soul you're capturing?
Yes, she is the manipulator because she doesn't bark as much, but when she wants something, she will boop you with her nose and follow you and look pathetic, and she knows. But the reason why labs are great dogs is because also they have like no sense of fullness from eating. They're always hungry. So they're very easy to train because they are so food driven. Now, the downside to that is they absolutely eat everything. So you got to watch out your food. Like I caught her the other day starting to get stuff off the counter, whatever. And
That's
she's
just
super
her
smart.
helping keep the house clean.
Exactly. Yeah. So I will endorse labs and American labs, mind you, because they're the workers. However, they are more energetic. But the English, all I'll say is I think the name properly reflects what I think about each culture.
So what if you get an American lab in England? Is it an English American lab or American English lab?
Then you have to, I think, move to America maybe, or have a constant urge to throw tea in the water. I don't know. I don't know, man.
I don't know either, but I just didn't find it
Yes,
interesting.
it is. And the Goldie, who's the rescue, is like a weird mix and was thrown out like in the wintertime with siblings. It was very sad. And
I'm glad she has a good home with you.
she's still she's a goofball. But needless to say, um, I'm glad you have a dog. I would
Yeah.
think, yeah, they're great. They're great
My
animals.
dog is named Dumpling.
That's any pictures or no? You don't like to show?
I don't have any handy, but I will describe her to you. She's a golden mini doodle. So she's as big as she's gonna get. She's about 4 years old. She's got curly brown hair. She's always eating stuff off the counter. She's like the perfect height to get her arms on the counter and stuff off of it. And
That
so
sounds about right.
I tell my kids when they leave stuff on the counter, like that's their own hazard. Learn your lesson, children. Don't do that because then it becomes dumplings.
That and Goldens and Labs share a common ancestor, St. John Water Dog. So that is why they both are like to swim.
I
And
I didn't know that.
yes, it's fascinating too because Labs, their tails are very strong because they use them for rudders when they're swimming.
Makes sense. I've been hit by that tail a few times. That
It
hurts.
hurts because it's
If she
very
gets in the
strong.
face, like the eyeball or something, it's just like, "Ah, my
Yes,
goodness." That I mean, that's a sensitive spot anyways, but yeah.
yes. So that's why Goldens and Labs are very, very similar in that regard. Except one's very, very hairy and one's short hair. But whatever. Back onto topics. Not that we're scared of doing tangents, but you said there was a lot of AI, and I talked about how becoming an AI platform, as ServiceNow talks about,
Yep.
and something just tells me there is going to be a lot of AI content at Knowledge 26.
I'm sure of it.
And I'm always mixed on that because I still remember the older days where most of the focus was the platform. But here is what I have found out working with AI and ServiceNow, as my own experience, is that AI that's out there, yes, there is some difference in models. You have Gemini, Claude, Copilot, ChatGPT,
Sure.
but generally they work all very similar.
I mean,
Neural models and
they're just all very expensive autocorrects or spell checks.
or searches, right?
Sure. I mean, but you start mixing tools when you get into that place, though, right? Because, like,
Yeah.
the large language model isn't trained on the internet. It's trained to use something to search the internet and then deal
Yes,
with the results,
exactly.
right?
So
It's
when you're
trained to deal with tools. There was a post yesterday where somebody was like, because OpenAI's Chat GPT 5.2 or something came out yesterday, and people were like, "Hey, look, it can't add or it can't tell you which is like what the difference between 5.9 and 5.11. It can't do that math, right?"
yeah,
And
that's why we have a calculator.
that's exactly what I said. I said, listen, this is exactly how it's going to be. You don't want to use this to do math calculations. You want to have this hooked up to a tool that can do, like, identify the math problems and do your math problem for you, return it to results. Like, having it
Yes,
guess the next statistical best token that is a mathematical equation answer
it's
is
not gonna
like
work.
the worst use of compute ever.
Exactly. And these models that are trained to essentially know how to put words together and formulate some kind of answer, there's something going into them that when you do like a web search and you ask Gemini a question, it's, for example, going to do a search, generally take those results, throw them through the model, and then get something that comes back.
I would hope
And
so.
I would hope so. So this is why when it comes to AI, that yes, there's some competition in terms of models, but at the end of the day, a lot of those models function the same way. What will make the difference is what tools that AI is talking to, how the results are being served to it, if there's tools that maybe the AI could call to do something. And I'm having a love-hate relationship with Copilot right now because there is some great stuff where I was in Copilot and I was like, oh, Copilot, I want to do this to like format every other line or whatever in my Excel. And it came back and was like, oh, here's how you do it. And I'm like, great, go do it now. Just go do it. And it's like, well, I don't do it. Here's how. I'm like, but I want you to do it. It's like, well, I don't do it. And I'm like, why don't you do it?
I
Right?
mean, I get that. I'm actually a fan of it, of sometimes it did not doing that stuff, because I think it's important to know how to use your own tools. For a while, I was using, for like personal project, I was using AI to write all the things, but I found that I
Hmm.
wasn't learning anything.
That's a good
It
point.
isn't hard to tell Excel to format every other line that color, right? And it probably gave you like 6 steps to follow to do it.
Yeah, and it did help me in that regard because I'm like, okay, well, I'll at least copy and paste this and go through the steps.
Yeah. I mean, it would be nice if it could just do it, right?
Well,
But again, it needs the tools to do that. Maybe Microsoft hasn't decided to give Excel the tools allow it to apply a template like
and I
styling to a sheet.
I wonder how many tools AI, Microsoft, I'm picking Microsoft right now. I wonder how many tools they're planning to give because like there was another time I was in the Dynamics, use that for CRM, and someone created like a duplicate opportunity, and I had to take all this work and basically copy it over.
Sure.
And I'm like, hey, let me try Copilot. Hey, Copilot, da 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 da, go do this. Sorry, I can't do this. Like you're not helping my life. This is what I need. I think that brings up just a very good bottleneck that when it comes to AI with these models, they're doing some great stuff. Like if you're asking it, give me summaries, give me ideas of prioritizing. I've done it where I'm like, read these notes and give me an example agenda of what to do for a follow up. And it's been great. But to actually do things that I need, there is certain things that are lacking.
I mean, unless the thing you need is like can be done in an automated way, like have it write a PowerShell script for you to move that stuff over with REST. You know what I mean? Like that might have worked if you had API access to that
Yeah, but
tool.
I don't have API access. And that's the trouble. A lot of the stuff I don't have API access to.
Right. Yeah. So
So
then you need to rely on things like browser use. And I've not used that, but I hear it looks pretty cool. But to me, it sounds terrifying.
I'll go for that. I'll try it. So we'll see. I think this next year will be telling in terms of what's going on.
Should we transition to the next AI topic? I think it's the last one.
Is it the last? I don't know. I think we have. I mean,
We just
if we
meander. We just
if we kept
meander.
going to go through all the AI topics that you or I could think of, we would probably be talking nonstop for like 30 years.
No, we're just talking about one more.
Okay. All right, one more.
There's a company that is like AI-esque that ServiceNow is like, hey, we like you.
Yeah.
Buy now, right?
Yep.
Visa. Visa, VEZA, right?
VEZA, yeah, not to be confused with like the credit card VISA.
Yeah. I'm not sure exactly what they do. I know we looked cursively at it ahead of time.
Yeah, I saw it. I was like, oh, cool, some kind of AI identity management. Yeah, sounds good.
It looks like they're oh, I'm like, did they do something with the control tower? No. The beginning of this page that
Talks about it.
Mike just brought up is like, oh, ServiceNow, AI control tower, this stuff.
Yeah.
But
So listen,
it's the access graph.
you can look and see who my employer is. I know nothing about this.
Yeah.
But that being said, the one positive thing I can think about this in the years that I've been working on the ServiceNow platform is that the one thing we've always been missing has been an identity management, some kind of system. There's a lot of platforms out there that have some way to use identity management to help, facilitate authentication. And historically, ServiceNow has never had one. We've
Isn't
always said, what's that?
I said, isn't there like isn't Servos a company that built one on top of ServiceNow?
Well, someone built one, sure. I
No,
don't
they
know.
sell it as a product on the store.
I guess so. I don't know. I don't know everything that's out there.
Neither do I.
But there's been a lot of other platforms that have had their native solutions. And the truth is, sometimes just people want a native solution. And that's been, I think, kind of a gap from an enterprise platform perspective. So I don't know if this is going to fill that gap because it looks like maybe this is doing something to help scale AI growth and maybe, I don't know what. But needless to say, I can understand why this purchase was made. I could definitely see it going into the roadmap. I could see where the value is going to be. Neat. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. 2 thumbs up on my end here.
Yeah, Clear Sky was the company I was thinking of, not Servos. Clear
Yeah.
Sky has an identity management thing
Okay.
that's built on top of ServiceNow natively. But I
Okay.
think that this might be more about like the AI access graph patents and other things that Visa brings to the table
Okay.
to allow
That
for
which
better
makes sense.
context for those AI conversations.
Yeah, and that's an interesting part to it as well because right now, as we're talking about like AI integrations, and it's just like any backend integration. Oftentimes, you integrate and authenticate with like a service. So how do you transfer that context to be like, hey, I still need to maintain security? So hopefully, this will do some of that.
Yeah,
Who
that'd be
knows?
fantastic. I thought it was interesting. I was going to read more up into it, but I
Yes.
haven't had a chance yet.
Yeah, no, good call. I think I saw it and I was like, all right, cool. Yeah, it makes sense to me. Great. And I moved on with the next thing in my life, which is probably petting my dogs or something.
I mean, they definitely desire that attention.
My lab, man, when we wake up in the morning, she knows exactly what's happening. Like, first, she'll be on me about getting breakfast. She gets that. And then she's literally following me down around and constantly booping me with her nose, like to the point where it is annoying. And I'm the identified as the dog walker.
Has she trained you to respond to it, or have you trained her that that's how you like to be pushed?
For this one, this is all her. And she is actually a trained service animal. My wife trained her for deep pressure therapy, and we've taken her places before. And now that we got the other one, we don't want to take one without the other. And the other one's kind of like the goofy, lovable idiot.
Yeah.
So that she's probably not getting it trained. But needless to say, she tries to get what she wants. She's good at it. Anyway, Visa, whatever. I think that's great.
Yeah.
Great purchase.
Yeah. Yep.
Can't wait to see what happens.
All the venture capital stuff that ServiceNow does is definitely interesting to see from afar.
Well, you know what? I have a friend who's got this cool AI product, Flow, and it's kind of neat because the idea with it is you have a client and it kind of watches you as you work and it starts to find opportunities to use AI. I love that concept because it's more human focused, which is where AI is going to have a lot of value, like workflow. And I think there was like a news thing about how ServiceNow like did invest some into it.
Yep.
And my suspicion is, hey, as a big multi-billion-dollar company, I'm sure everyone does this, Microsoft and Salesforce and ServiceNow. They probably invest into technologies that they see potential, and then they kind of wait to see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know the specifics. I've spoke to the owner. I'm trying to think of his name off the top of my head now.
Flow,
Yeah, of
Josh,
Aflow. No, not Josh, the other one.
Boaz,
Yeah. Uh,
yes,
he also made SkyGraph back in the day.
yeah, they both made Sky Giraffe back in the day.
Yeah. Well, it was the other founder guy that made SkyGraph with someone else.
No, well, Josh Rush was a part of founder of
He,
Sky Giraffe also, and Boaz, he was on it,
yeah, Boaz. Yeah,
and Ariel Gordon, I think.
yeah. I have a whole blog written up about SkyGraph and that whole acquisition.
Yeah, that was acquired because the first mobile app that ServiceNow had kind of was its philosophy was let's try to mirror what we do on the desktop into a mobile app, and it just fell flat. It was bad. Not bad. It didn't work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got to remember back then, though, like everybody wasn't native first. People were trying to still be in the web. And it was, you can still access that, if you go to
Oh, I know.
$n.do,
I know it's still
right?
there. Yeah.
It'll mess up your history if you go there and get to figure out how to undo it, and that's fine.
Yeah, but back then, the strategic direction for mobile was why don't we lean in onto HTML5, because HTML5 was supposed to be this whole thing of local caching and offline and basically replacing native apps, and it just didn't work. So SkyGiraffe was cool because it almost kind of made like a player, and you can then build apps that were native via this player. And then ServiceNow took that and, of course, re-architected all on the platform. But I always describe it as, hey, think of it as you have your regular ServiceNow app, and then you have this other way to tailor mobile applications that can be on a unified single native app that can access
Yep.
native capabilities. Nowadays, I think people take it for granted, but it was actually very powerful, and it still is.
Yeah. Yep. Totally agree.
Exactly. But in some other news, one of the things that I do, this was from yesterday's news, is I run the Columbus ServiceNow meetup.
Wait, you run it? I didn't know you ran it. I thought you just
Yes.
went there.
No, I run it because I'm like the only one who's doing anything. So for everyone listening, let me tell you a little story. Like over 10 years ago, 2010, wow, that was a long time ago. I went to my first ServiceNow user group meeting at the time, and it was run back in the day by ServiceNow customers. When we met, user groups were maybe every quarter at least, maybe more. And you would see commonly 70, 80, 100 people to these groups. And over time, ServiceNow eventually, as ServiceNow grew, because back then it was really small, but over time, ServiceNow kind of took over running those user group meetings. And there was a transition from, hey, let's have user focused excitement to, we still have that. There's usually one user customer session, but let's start doing like talking about what's going on with ServiceNow. Let's start taking the opportunity to market and whatever else. And over the past few years, even before COVID, we started to see a drop off of people because I don't know if you remember, Jace, for a while, the Minneapolis user group community and the Columbus user group community were really going head to head for like the largest snugs that we had. Like Columbus had over 150. Minneapolis, I know, beat that. And over time, though, numbers started to drop off, and then user group meetings started to, not be as often. And about 7 years ago, so myself was like, I miss the traditional ServiceNow community. Everyone's getting together, just talking what we're doing.
Talking shop.
No, shop, yeah, like you and I do.
Like, how do you solve that problem? Well, easy. You just
Yeah.
go to Flow Designer and you pick the trigger.
Do this, yeah.
You
What do you do
that,
for
and
SLAs?
Then I
Yeah,
ask Jace, how do you fix that problem? You make a business rule and you call a script action.
yeah,
Whatever
exactly,
the answer is,
exactly.
right?
Well, 7 or 8 years ago, I went to meetup.com. I'm like, well, I'll try ServiceNow Meetup, and I just started it. And
Wait, so
sometimes,
it's not an official ServiceNow meetup. It's like
well,
a
hang on,
Slobodnik special.
I'm getting to
Oh,
that. Hang on.
sorry.
Well, what happened was I found out though that the marketing team, especially through developers, realized this was happening, and they said, "Hey, we love this. We love the community, but we want to make sure, not but, and we want to make sure it's very successful, and we also don't want to have the things that kind of took away from the user group meetings." So they said, if you join as an official ServiceNow meetup, we can help like sponsor the advanced meetup.com features. We can give you tools for it. We can give you a little bit of financial support. All we have are some rules. And some of those rules are things like it can't be salesy. It can't be recruiting. If you have a partner sponsor, they've got to follow those rules as well. It's got to be, I think it came through the developer advocacy group marketing team.
I
But
think Nereus stood it up initially. Josh Nereus.
yes, that guy, Josh.
Yeah.
I remember Josh. God, I'm talking forever.
He's still there. He's great.
Is he?
He still works with your work. Yeah.
I gotta text him. I gotta text him and be like, what's up, man? And so for the past 6, 7 years, I've kind of had it. And I tried to do topics, bring in people. Sometimes I'd get 30 people RSVPing and 3 people would show up. So I tried here and there before COVID. And of course, COVID hit. I moved to Orlando. So that was gone. And then when I moved back, I'm like, well, I got to try this back up again. And it's kind of always been hit or miss. And I finally started to do things like, all right, how about instead of topics, I try to make them more social. So one time we did like Top Golf. Another time we did like virtual reality. And oftentimes it'd be like the same 6 or 7 people. When I
Sure.
did Top Golf last, I think I got like almost 30 people, which is a good turnout. And then last night we did
Pizza.
pins.
I saw pizza.
Yeah, we did pins mechanical.
Okay.
And it was kind of like, all right, well, end of the holiday. Let's just get some pizzas. The only thing I don't like about pins is they don't have a place to have food. So this place
Pins is a
at
bowling
East
alley, right?
bowling alley and games and stuff, and of course drinking alcohol, but I don't care that much about that. So we did pick a pinzo that had like a Mikey's late night slice. So I got some pizzas, and there's the crew. And
Yeah,
I
I was
really get
looking at this picture earlier. I was trying to pick out who I recognize.
yes. So
Unfortunately, the only one I recognize here is you. So
okay,
if
well,
somebody
and
else
that's
was
fair.
there that I'm supposed to know, I'm sorry.
That's fine. So all the way to the right is Katrina Schmoody. She helped me do some like uh other meetup organizations as well because it's community driven. I just happen to be a community member that just happens to work for ServiceNow. And what happens is though is that I had this one young lady. I keep pronouncing her name incorrectly, so I apologize. Aliza Ovali, I think. She's here and she's like tagged on the post. And she's a young person, reached out to me and was like, hey, I just moved to Columbus. I want to get involved with the ServiceNow community. I'm like, great. So we met, hit it off. I'm like, all right, cool. This is great. We need more energy injected into it. So I'm going to be helping her take over some of it. I'm not going away, but it's a lot to do. And I think we
Yeah.
had 17 people last night, which was pretty good. And the thing about it is it's all about momentum. You get one scheduled, then you got to get another one scheduled. And we had Top Golf that was successful, like maybe back in August or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, cool, let me do one for September. Like only 3 people RSVP'd. And it was like going to be a trivia night with prizes. I'm like, well, that's not the greatest. So I canceled it. But what I found at least, and here's a tip for anyone who wants to do a meetup. And one guy, by the way, drove all the way from Cincinnati, like an hour and a half to 2 hour drive to come. So if anyone in Cincinnati, Ohio wants to start a meetup, please do it. All 7 of you who's listening. But what I do is I charge like a $5 or $10 cover fee, basically. So the people who RSVP, yes, and pay, I know are coming.
Right. When I
And that
would run
helps
it,
to
I would assume half of the people wouldn't show up.
see, I had way more than that not show up
Yeah, we
when I
had
was trying to run it.
50% in Minneapolis when I ran because I didn't realize you ran the Columbus chapter. I ran the Minneapolis chapter.
I
Did you
think I
know that?
came out for the Minneapolis chapter before.
You might have,
Might have.
but I don't run it anymore. I passed that torch along after COVID broke and I mean, after we got past all of the COVID stuff, I was like, I'm done. You know what? We did the online thing. I'm burned. I don't want any
Yeah.
part to do with this anymore. But I found that with the group that we had, it was just so easy if you had pre-scheduled everything so that everybody could plan. And so we would do every other would be just a happy hour, and the opposite would be like a lab/happy hour or a discussion, like a specific session/happy hour.
Maybe we'll do that. Well, so I'm going to get together with,
And then we did them every other month. So we'd only have we'd have 6 a year. So that meant three happy hours and three
and
like
3 like
lab
labs.
happy hours, which becomes way more easier to like come up with because when you're running it, finding the content is hard, coordinating the places is hard,
Finding places, yeah.
right? And then also like when I ran it, you had to pay for it out of pocket and then ask for reimbursement from ServiceNow. And I
I
know
mean,
that stuff's all changed.
well, we still have to do that, get reimbursement, but there is amount that ServiceNow gives every quarter,
Yeah.
which is great. And then also they're good for sponsors. It's just, I think the challenge with that, with sponsors are if a partner is going to sponsor it, they typically want to have something out of it, like either sales or,
You should look at
you
what
know,
Chris Shu and not Chris Shu specifically. There's a gal with the name Monette. She has her own company, but she organizes the British Columbia meetup. And what
yeah,
they do is they find sponsors, and as part of their sponsor thing, is they ask the sponsoring company, give us something that we can put in a giant image. Like give us a t-shirt or like a banner and we'll all hold it up and we'll make a whole splash photo about it, post
that's
on social
cool.
media. And so the company gets something. The
Yeah.
meetup gets dollars for the event. And
It's a
everybody at
win-win.
least is a little bit happier.
Well, yeah, the one thing I'm trying to figure out is why the Columbus, Ohio community, which has a very long history of ServiceNow. Ohio Health, I think, was a customer starting in 2007. They were on-prem back in the day because they were
Yeah.
like, we don't trust clouds. So they deployed on-prem. And like I said, we used to get over 150 people at user group meetings. It is sometimes like crickets. And I don't know if it's because the older people have kind of gone through and they're like, well, I know ServiceNow. is I don't feel like I need to go to user group meetings or what. But I did have a conversation with one person though, and she came through the Rise program and she was talking to me like, there was some good stuff with Rise and good training, whatever. But now I'm at this impasse where I want to do more, get more experience, and I want to get a job somewhere, but I don't know how to do it. And it's like, we got to help. We got to figure this out.
In my opinion, it's a clear problem that there are different goals of folks entering those programs versus those who are hosting those programs.
Well, that and what I've also found is that oftentimes you can find ServiceNow openings, but the level of experience they want often
It's
doesn't match
ridiculous.
the salary.
Or even what's reasonable.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, if I'm a very seasoned ServiceNow person, yeah, I'm probably going to go work for a partner because I can make more money. I had like this whole pyramid where think of a pyramid and at the very top is like software vendor, and then the middle band is like partner, and then the bottom is like practitioner. And think of the width of the pyramid as highlighting the importance in the community. So practitioner being at the base has the most importance. But think of the height as salary.
I see.
And it's just kind of a general law that when you're in the practitioner level, you have the most importance, right? You are creating the solutions. You are going out, you're talking to other people how to do it. You're going to conferences to present. Conferences want the people who did it.
I mean, if it's
Yeah.
aligned with the goals of the company.
Well, I mean, just in general, valuable things, they want the practitioners who are doing it and showing the practicality and impact and everything of
I
how
would
this is
love
valuable.
to agree with you on that.
You can just say, yes, I agree with you.
I don't.
What do you mean you don't?
There's 86 talks about AI of 109.
I'm not talking about AI though. I'm not talking about knowledge conference. I'm just talking about in general
Oh,
in
okay,
the
okay.
community.
In
I'm
general,
talking
yes,
about
yes,
I'm
you're
talking
correct.
about the
I do
importance
agree.
in the
The pink
community.
elephants, the ITIL conferences, yes. Okay, yeah.
Whatever of them, right?
Yeah.
In general, in tech, the people who are out there working for companies, they're hired full time and they're trying to
Yeah.
do things, they are considered the ones who you want to present because they did it.
Yes.
And then the middle of the practitioner, of the partners, implementation people, whatever, there's a level of importance there because they're out there doing it, but they are vendors. Like when you worked for a vendor
Yeah.
and you helped us with gamification, well, Friction was just helping us do it. You guys don't get any credentials for it or credits. And then, of course, the software companies, they're making the software cool and they want those practitioners going out and presenting, getting the story out. But at the end of the day, I mean, like, at that practitioner level, you do the most amazing work, but you do not get paid for it compared to the other ones. And in the ServiceNow world, that's a whole nother conversation because I think in general, in corporate world, I'm just going to go here. Okay, fine. In the corporate world, there is still this idea of a hierarchy that you need to have so many people reporting to you, and that's basically how much money you should make. The more people reporting to you, the most you should make. That's why CEOs at the top, they get paid the most, right?
I mean, I
Generally,
don't think
yes.
like that. But
No, you don't, but in the corporate world.
yeah, I mean, I can see how that line of thought goes. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And it's like that everywhere over hundreds of years at this point, a couple hundred years.
Yes. There are oddities like gravity payments. They don't do it that way. But yes, I totally understand.
Okay, good. I'm glad someone's. But when you come to these ServiceNow roles, some people want. They want multi-years of experience, sometimes even over a decade. They want people who can be an architect. They want people who know ServiceNow. And I'm sure they're the same way in other technologies like Salesforce or Microsoft, those niche, whatever. But those roles you need for that architect often don't have people reporting to them. And because we've got all these other opportunities with partners that pay way much better because you're a consultant, and we all know consultants get paid a bunch of money, it's hard to be competitive. And right now, ServiceNow, 10 years ago, it was hard to find people with ServiceNow on your resume. Now you're finding people with ServiceNow on the resumes and CVs, but you're finding out they don't have that experience.
Right. Or the experience that they have isn't truly reflected. Like they're being very boastful of like the work that their team did, and maybe they like contributed a thought to.
Maybe, yeah, that's right.
Or maybe they did some of the work, right? But they wrote that they came up and did it all by themselves.
Exactly. And there is kind of now a situation where, like I said, there's organizations who need this architect, and it'd be incredibly beneficial. But because of the traditional corporate hierarchy, they cannot pay an individual contributor enough to be competitive with these consulting companies or maybe in sales or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest challenge we have right now. And then, of course, We've got people who are new to ServiceNow and they're trying to find the junior roles. And either A, there's not enough of them. They don't have the experience to move into a more advanced role. But then also, there is now a thing to consider with AI where some of the basic things, not the advanced things, but some of the basic things you do as like an admin, AI is starting to do more and more of.
Or at least it's making it easier for you.
It's making it easier, which means
It's
if
like,
you've got,
to
yeah,
bring it full circle, it's like in Excel. You ask it how to color the opposite rows, or you tell it to do it.
mhm,
ServiceNow will tell you, well, this is how you grant
is how you do it.
permissions.
Yeah, which means if you have an administrator, they're going to be able to do more and you may not need junior roles. So it's this weird thing that AI is very powerful, but with this mix of talent of trying to get people, because I still think there's a big need. The market's there, right? Like if you have a advanced service,
I
yeah,
don't think that AI is going to make it so that folks don't need jobs. And
I agree.
I don't
I
think that
agree.
AI is going to make it so that the amount of people you need is actually less. I think it just means the expectation of throughput will be higher.
Well, but ultimately that should lead to maybe not needing as many people or here's the other way, you can continue to do more and match business growth without having to hire new people as that growth occurs.
That's what I would bet happens.
Yeah,
Or they
which
just expect, or the business just expects more. So you still need the same number of people.
exactly. So all I do being in the community and I'm an individual contributor, just whenever people talk about that, I try to get them connected with other people because I know if someone is very motivated and they're very passionate and they're very focused,
Yeah.
they just need the right chance to get in there
I
and
mean,
they'll show
I
how
would,
great they are.
when people reach out to me about those things, I point people to examples. I'm like, look what this person did. Look at their LinkedIn history. Look at like their community posts, right? I point to like three people off the top of my head. We got Ebony I can't say her last name. She was a keynote speaker though, like the year she jumped into the ServiceNow space,
Really?
which
Good
is
for her.
crazy, right?
That's great.
Ebony I'm gonna butcher her last name. We me and her talk occasionally because we play the same video game occasionally, not together
Okay.
but just separately. I can't think of the name of it. You play some sort of mafia guy, beat people up.
Grand Theft Auto, baby.
Nope, that's not it.
Oh, do you play Lego Odyssey by chance?
No, I don't play very many games. When I play games, I'm not building stuff,
Or
and I like to
Fortnite
build stuff.
Odyssey?
I don't play Fortnite. Nothing against it. Is I don't have time for it.
I'm into Fortnite Odyssey, which is the Lego one. I played that for like since it came out. They just came out with the Ninjago
Yeah,
whole thing, and now I'm like into it. So anyone listening, if you play Fortnite Odyssey, which is slower version of it, whatever, it's fun. Let me know. But
yeah.
to your point, there was
But there's that Ebony gal, right? She's out of Atlanta. Then there's Callie Alexander, who just got a job at ServiceNow. I don't know if you know who she is. Do you know who
I
Callie
don't,
Alexander is?
I don't, but I'll have to look
You'll have
Kelly
to
up.
reach out to her. She like started making videos on LinkedIn because nobody was doing that at the time, and videos were like crazy social back then of like 100 days of ServiceNow of like how to do certain things. She got hired up by Mike Lombardo when he was still with us at GlideFast, but
Yeah,
now she's made her way to the mothership, as I call it, right? And then you got Kalisha Moore, who went the route. I don't know if she went up the Rise Up program, but she's only been in a few years, but she runs her own community group to help folks get jobs. The ServiceNow Professional Developer Group.
really, that's great.
Yeah,
I
so
am
that's what
very
I
much
that's where I point people
good.
because I
I
know
will
my experience is not relative to like what new people experience.
exactly.
And it's not fair for me to like have the same expectations of folks to get in as I had when I got in.
We were very lucky. We got in at the right time.
Well, let's be honest. The right time is whenever you start.
Well, that is true. But we did start when things were easier.
I
There was less.
mean,
There was less.
things were easier because there were less, but things were harder because it was different.
Yes.
If
It
you
was
wanted
more
solutions to do work a certain way, you just had to come up with it.
yes.
There wasn't a thing for it.
And the one thing I always say is if anyone asks like which module should I get into, I always say it is always good to get into the development side of it because once again, the pieces that make up every product of ServiceNow generally have the same core pieces of development.
Yeah.
So if you know that, you can learn about anything else.
Well, yeah. I tell people to build something that solves a problem that they have because that keeps them motivated to do it. But if heard something, if some people don't ask me often about what module, but if people ask me what module, I'd say start with IT service management because that's where ServiceNow started,
I mean,
and that's a solved problem.
that's
You
that's
could
still the
use your
second one. It started with app. engine.
I mean, but it didn't really.
But it did. That
But
was
it
what Fred said. Fred said, I wanted to build an enterprise application platform where people could build meaningful applications to get work done in an enterprise.
well, he did say that, but
Yes.
I still hold my opinion. That's
I
okay.
mean, look, if you want to say which one had the right interface for it, I mean, there was no app engine module because the whole platform was that.
Yes, and it was fantastic, and I do
Yes.
miss those days.
They're still around, they're just different.
Yeah. What else was there? There was something else, and I wanna hit it, and I forgot what we talked about a couple topics.
Tim Woodruff,
Yeah.
he and I'm not gonna say arch nemesis because I respect him, but he is like team workflow editor, I'm team flow designer,
However you wanna phrase it,
I'm
yeah.
winning in my opinion because workflow editors being
Well,
marked, I think, read
I
only or
mean,
whatever.
yeah, well, regardless of who's winning that thing,
I
he's
think
come
he's
out
hilarious. Let me put it that
he
way.
he's come out with something called a podcast player. We'll throw a link in the notes, but it's a native podcast player, and what's really interesting about it is you can download it as an executable in the releases of GitHub there, and it'll remove the ads for the podcast you listen to,
And you know
right?
what? For this podcast,
It shouldn't remove
totally
anything.
useless.
Yeah,
We have
totally
no
agree.
in fact
I
this
use this
we even
podcast to test it.
exactly. In fact, you know what? We're using that app right now to on this editing right now, so you're not gonna find any ads.
But it
That's like
It's an interesting use case, right? Because it requires you to understand what was said, when it was
yes.
said, and whether or not it was an ad or not. But then also, what's really interesting, and I didn't know this until a couple like last week. Did you know if you and I listen to like NPR's Life Kit, which is a podcast I sometimes listen to,
Yeah.
we'll get totally different ads.
You know what? I did not know that, but I could believe it.
Yeah. So the problem with that is if you have somebody that transcribes it and uses it, you can't use like a central then like repository of like, hey, NPR Life Kit episode 7 has an ad from the second to the 44th second. Because one ad might run longer or shorter than the other ad.
But I'm willing to bet ads when they buy them, they're put in stipulations like it has to be this length of time. I'd
No,
be
but
surprised if there's not something that
it's not consistent.
really.
Yeah, because I was messing with a rewrite of the thing because I wanted to mess with it. So you have to then understand what version was given to the client. So you have to do it on device or take it from the device and then send it back to something to transcribe that version of, right? Or get the hash of it to compare to like a hash you have stored, right? But you also don't want to I think it's important to be respective of like those advertisers and that podcast. They made an agreement that so many of these things would be served, right? And so if like you change how distribution methods work, you would break that model for the creator or for the advertiser, which the
Yes.
listener doesn't care about probably.
No,
But as
but
someone who creates content, I do care about that relationship.
well, exactly. And there's a lot of money in the in advertisements. That's where Facebook
Yeah. So if
makes
you
its
look up,
money and Google and
it's like dynamic ad insertion or something is what it's called. But the way that I think it should be solved, and because it's all running locally, it doesn't need to be solved for his application. But if you were to run it on the cloud, the best way for everybody is to just let folks download their podcast episodes and then upload the hash and see if you have it. And if you don't, then upload the MP3 and then do the math on it and come back. Because that doesn't make extra downloads. That puts the cost on the consumer to like upload it, and that respects the ads.
and eventually those providers and people who are doing the ads and whatever will find ways to combat it because it is a constant game of cat and mouse.
I mean, I think it's pretty hard to combat at that point though, because at that point it's all local. And
There's always going to be something.
yeah, they'll probably have some sort of like
They'll
DRM
put in
version.
DRM or something. Anyway, I know we're at 50 minutes. This was a little bit long, but we had a lot of great conversation.
We did.
So until next time for episode, I think 14 is next.
Sweet.
Figure it out when I do the editing, and I'm going to take 2 weeks because I have pathological demand avoidance. So whatever. But anyway, hopefully we'll do some more before the holidays kick in. But until then,
Next time, I want to talk about some audiobooks or books in general.
okay. I'm good for that. I got a lot of great ideas for books. I mean, not
Dude,
recommendations to read. Yes.
yeah. Well, I don't
Yes.
know about recommendations, but I know things I'm very passionate about. So
To write or read.
to read or to
Oh,
listen to.
I can tell you right now, a little bit of primer, everybody. Anything by Isaac Asimov, brilliant. And he's got published over 400 books.
Is he the guy who wrote, you know what? It doesn't matter. I'll look it up later.
Yeah. Brilliant guy. Like absolute favorite author. Love that guy. Anyway, till next time, this is Michael.
And this is Jace.
Bye. Being awkward. Bye, everybody.
Bye.